Hello and welcome to Animation Advocators. This is an exclusive show for the 3J Show website. Here with me is the other Jay.
Hey, what's up? I'm John. Welcome.
If you're wondering where the other one is at, he couldn't be here because he's too busy yanking it.
So, today we are going to be talking about Batman the Animated Series, and this is my first episode I ever got to watch all the way through, so it was an interesting experience.
Yeah. Batman the Animated Series, if you don't know, it was the first show within the Bruce Timm's DC animated universe. It's one of my favorite shows, and this is actually one of my favorite episodes. I thought it would be a good episode to watch, and yeah, it's Perchance to Dream. By the way, spoilers if you haven't seen this episode.
Yeah,
I know
heavy spoilers.
Heavy spoilers. I say this now because, although, I mean, it's been over 20 years.
It is old, but here's the thing, is that this is an excellent episode.
Yeah.
If you have not watched this, go ahead, go do that, then come back.
Yeah. Yeah, remember, it's Perchance to Dream. With that said, let's get on to the episode.
Yep. By the way, this episode was Season 1, Episode 26, if you have some trouble finding it. That might help a little more. Gosh, where do we even begin with this, though? Because honestly...
Well, I mean, it starts off with a typical Batman's chasing some bad guys with, the Batmobile. He stumbles upon this, warehouse building. He's on the scaffolding. All of a sudden, he gets a bright light. He touches the bar. He gets this weird tingle in his eye. And all of a sudden, this device just gets onto his head. And then he wakes up in his bed as Bruce Wayne. And then what we find out is, his dad, Thomas, is alive. His mom, Martha, is alive. And it turns out he was never Batman. He can't find the Batcave. He's talking to Alfred about it. Not to mention he's engaged to the woman, the love of his life, who is Selena Kyle. And somebody else is doing the job of Batman. So this is everything, what I love about this episode, because it really goes down into Bruce's psyche, because this is basically everything Bruce ever wanted in his life, but he can never have. And now he finally has it, and of course, because he has it, he can't believe it. He's full of doubt. There's one instance where he tries to accept it, but then he goes in, reads, can't read in a dream. It's actually a really clever way of how he figures out how he's in a dream, is because, again, reading comes from the right side of the brain,
dreaming comes from the left. Yeah,
so you can't read in a dream, which is actually true. I've tried reading in a dream. You end up with a massive headache if you wake up.
Yeah. Now, this episode actually demonstrates one of my favorite things in any kind of superhero show. I've seen it in a couple, Weird Thing, kind of like My Life as a Teenage Robot's Raggedy Android and other shows like that. I always like the kind of inner psyche torture kind of deal.
Yeah.
Or the loss of control episodes where you almost have to fight yourself instead of a bad guy.
Yeah, and this episode does, in the third act, Batman does fight. Well, Bruce Wayne fights Batman. So that... Because, he feels that, Batman has the answers to this. And lo and behold, he is right. And then he unmasks Batman to reveal who's behind this the entire time. And, a clever man can actually figure out who the villain is just by the title sequence of Perchance to Dream. If you hear that little music, that little you can immediately tell, oh, I know who this is. This is the Mad Hatter. Yeah. Which makes sense, because Jervis Tetch was always a villain of the mind. He studied, brains and stuff, and that's what he's an expert at. So it makes sense that he would know about dreams and how to manipulate them and stuff like that. And obviously, one of the big things they had to get off the chest right away, they had to explain that Mad Hatter in the real world does not know who Batman is.
Yeah.
They have that little explanation. So
yeah,
they obviously had, or else that would have been a plot hole.
Yeah. Now that's what I like about this. No matter how many logical holes I've poked in the last 5 minutes before we started this episode, I really can't find anything wrong with the episode and how bulletproof they got it. Every explanation was there in some regard.
Yeah. Well, what's actually cool, if you actually look at the backgrounds, before Bruce Wayne even starts reading, you can actually see, the buildings the letters are jumbled. So you could actually so again
Really?
yeah that was actually on that since I've watched this for another time, I actually noticed that. So like that's actually pretty clever. So if you look at the backgrounds, you could actually figure this out
pretty quickly.
So the show actually does do a good job of putting clues in for yourself.
Yeah, you almost feel like you're actually in a Batman detective comic and you're the detective almost. You know,
like you're wondering what's going on.
Like here's
well, I mean,
the thing
obviously
as well.
obviously as the audience, you already know this is a dream. It's more just watching Bruce figuring it out.
Yeah. Now the thing I like, first of all, as I said, this was my first episode of Batman the Animated Series. As a whole, I'm definitely going to watch more episodes because, if you guys don't know, I didn't grow up with comic book characters and action-based cartoons and stuff. So this being my first foray into it majorly, I've got to say I'm already a fan.
Yeah. Like I said, there's many great episodes. Like I said, I was talking to him before we started this episode, this whole conversation. I mean, to me, in Batman the Animated Series, there's no bad episodes. The worst it ever got was an okay episode.
Yeah.
Okay, not bad, but not great either. Just okay. But that's still a testament to its quality.
Yeah. Whenever a show can't really have a bad episode, it's actually very loud speaking about how good the writers were and animation department was. It's just sad that we don't see too many cartoons like that.
No, but well, what can you do?
But it's big scale animation, so obviously there's going to be duds here and there. That's just part of the industry.
Well, one of the things that I love is in the scene where Batman's going to the cemetery to confront. I mean, when Bruce Wayne is going to the cemetery to confront Batman. I love, like, you see the clouds in the sky. It really reminded me of Fantasia.
Oh, man.
Like I said, if there's one thing, like I said, this show definitely had excellent animation. Not every episode, though. I gotta stress that. There are some episodes where I question the animation, but I understand that when you're working in the production order.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta meet deadlines.
Yeah, not every episode's gonna be an amazing quality, but the episodes that are high quality animations are really great.
Yeah. Also, they really, really nail Batman in the show for what I know him for. You know, it's got that grit I like about Batman. Now, don't get me wrong when I say this, because trust me, I love campy '60s Batman show.
Oh yeah, I love the Adam West show too.
But I've always preferred the grittier ones.
Yeah.
I've always preferred gritty over campy Batman.
Well, it wasn't until the late '80s when Batman was considered campy until the late '80s when Frank Miller came with The Dark Knight Returns, giving it a more grittier Batman in the comics. But as for the mainstream media, we didn't see a darker tone Batman until the '89 Batman movie with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. And basically, this show followed that movie. So, I mean, the show actually did have a good timing. Like, it was right on the heels of that movie. So, like,
yeah,
people were
already talking about a grittier Batman when it came out.
Yeah. So we had a show that followed, which is ironic too, because it's a kids show. It's TVY7, and it's actually more mature. It's actually more mature and more adult than some of the movies that came after that original '89 Batman movie.
That is kind of weird. But I gotta say, this episode in particular just tackles a lot of issues if you think about it deep enough. But this isn't that kind of show that will analyze. It's more about what we think and discuss, really.
I mean, like, this episode's actually one of my top 5 favorite episodes, just because again, you know, Bruce Wayne Batman is my favorite character of all time in any media, and it really goes into the psyche of, like, you know,
like, what is his inner desire, you know?
Yeah. Like, he does all this stuff as Batman, but what does he really want in his heart? And this episode shows what he wants, but can never have.
Yeah. As I said before we started this recording as well, I can't really say whether I find Mad Hatter horrible in this situation or not.
No, he's the perfect villain for this episode.
Like, for instance, right, like, obviously it's his own gain he's going for, but yet he did briefly give Batman a glimpse into a life he could never have, you know, like
Mad Hatter has the mindset. Well, Mad Hatter had the mindset of, you know, like,
get him out of the way permanently.
Like if you think about it in a weird, twisted way, I feel like Mad Hatter thought he was actually doing Batman a favor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and in
'Cause,
the
like, he
mind of
even
a
says-
villain, that's kind of a nice thing to do.
Yeah. Now, in his own twisted way, he thought he was doing Batman a favor. Like, basically, like, if I gave you the life, he even says in the episode, I thought if I gave you the life you always wanted, you'd stay out of mine.
Yeah. Which, trust me, that is a greedy purpose, but again...
And of course, how Bruce
Yeah.
gets out of the whole dream is he knows this. Everybody knows this. There's one surefire way to get out of a dream: commit suicide, pretty much, or
Yeah.
just jump. And right before you land, boom, you wake up. That was actually called a kick in the movie Inception, if you've
Yeah.
seen that.
Now, another concept that this episode brings forth, and doesn't even address it by name in the episode itself, is lucid dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the second he wakes up as Bruce Wayne,
Well, it's sort of like
he's
a...
lucid dreaming.
It's true. It is a
Pretty
lucid.
much.
It is a lucid dream, but he's not in charge of it.
Yeah, exactly. It almost feels lucid. Now, the place where I know it definitely goes lucid is when he starts to read.
Yeah.
That's when his head starts to throb. He knows he's dreaming.
Yeah. Well, I always thought like when he reveals that it's Mad Hatter as Batman, I feel like that's more Bruce Wayne's actual brain deducting who it is.
Yeah, you see, I think it became clear to him after all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, what do you think, out of a possible, we'll say, 10, what do you think of this one? With 10 being best.
9.
Yeah, I would give it at least an 8.5 to 9 myself. Because in my opinion, that's like the top grade I can give. You know, I can't give a 10 to anything.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, I'm reading this right now. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, considers this his favorite episode in the series for obvious reasons. I'm sure I already know why the reasons. We pretty much explained it. So.
Yeah. Well, dude, I think we can pretty much say we've got this one covered.
Yeah, so thanks for watching Animation Advocators, and stay tuned for more.
We love you guys, and we'll catch you later.
Bicycle.